here today with Asha from Mason Dixie. I'm so excited for you all to hear about Asha's journey, her story, and the company that she founded and is leading today. So please welcome Asha, and I'm going to just jump right in. Tell folks about your company.
I'm Asha Abuelhiga. I'm the CEO and founder of Mason Dixie Foods. And we got started, believe it or not, 11 years ago, actually as a restaurant, hoping to change what's going on today in fast food, comfort food, right? We really just saw an opportunity to clean up the most quintessentially American meal, fried chicken and biscuits. And so I set out to hopefully undo what Chick-fil-A was doing. And instead, within months, we saw ourselves starting a consumer products business. But that all really happened quickly. We had an incredibly successful rollout of our first restaurants, and we were very fortunate to have Whole Foods stop by for a meal, and ended up that a woman buyer wanted to see if there was a way for her to get our biscuits into the grocery stores at Whole Foods. And it was not part of the plan. For us, we really wanted to grow Mason Dixie Biscuit Company as a restaurant brand. But I thought, this could be interesting, right? There's an opportunity here to have some free marketing so that when people go on their weekly shop, they turn that box around, they see something about the restaurant. So it was all an interesting marketing opportunity until we launched our first store, and we outsold butter and milk sales that day. And to this day, we're still the number one natural frozen biscuit in retail, and growing. And our partnership with Whole Foods has continued to grow and spur other innovations. So fast forward to 2020 when COVID was happening, we unfortunately had to unwind the restaurants just with everything going on and the uncertainty around when we could reopen. But at the same time, our frozen food business was growing 500%. And so Whole Foods approached us about adding breakfast sandwiches to the mix. And so we ended up launching our signature biscuit sandwiches that we served at the restaurant into retail. And again, instant success. And we're still the fastest growing natural frozen breakfast handheld brand in the country. We're in the top 10 and still continuing to grow. And I think one of the greatest things that we had the opportunity to do as a result of those innovations was partner in food service with clients like Marriott, where we service over 3,500 hotels nationwide today. And a lot of that, I think, I credit to our success as a restaurant and teaching us about food service as a customer of a food service distributor, but then rolling out into food service as a supplier, whole different ballgame. But it really, when I look back at 10 years of 11 years now of what went wrong that could have gone south and what went right that went really right, never in a million years did I ever think that something that we were buying from Cisco, right? We were buying biscuits from ourselves, could now be unlocking thousands of other retail units. And so here we are today servicing millions and millions of more customers than we could have in a brick and mortar restaurant. I credit that to, the tenacity of our team and the ability to kind of look at opportunities that could have gone south as a way to grow the business instead.
Wow, that's incredible. I think back because I've known you now for years, and you were part of our Food Service Women's Alliance board at one time, so thank you for that. Um, I just think about how you've gone up against these giant companies in these categories in which you compete, and both on the retail side of things and on the food service side of things. You've absolutely slayed it. Like, what do you attribute that to? And I know the product because I love it, but I know that it is a really, really good product. But I got to imagine they have millions and millions of dollars more to spend in promoting than you do. How did
Yeah.
you do this?
I think there's a couple of things there. There's the psychology of winning, right? I left some very male dominated fields, not that food service and food isn't, but I left the tech world and the automotive world pretty disheartened about where, as a ambitious female, I could really go, right? I
Right.
quit my corporate jobs to become an entrepreneur and to become somebody who could be on that C-suite track without the red tape and, you know, what still exists, the affinity for male leaders over female. And so I really
Yeah.
wanted to prove myself. And I think as I attached founder and CEO to my title and my name, I wanted to make sure that I actually lived up to that, right? I was like, this is my company, this is my show. And if I can't get in a room and sell this thing to whatever male executives there are, then that's my lost opportunity. So I think being at the driver's seat now and being able to stand behind, that's the other thing too. I think standing behind something that you're proud of. I think when I was still in product management and automotive and in tech, it was always a compromise, right? This is what the teams were able to accomplish by this time. And now you have to make sure that it sells or make sure that we're talking about it in the marketing materials, et cetera. And I was always a little bit of, well, only one out of the 10 things that I said we needed to do got in here. And that was not because I didn't make it a priority. Now, as a founder, what I'm really proud of is this team makes 100% of 100 things happen, right? So when I stand by our product, I know it's happened, right? Like I can say it is as perfect as it can be. And if it's not, let me know why and I'll make it better, right? So I think having this the ability to stand behind something that you really believe in and having the opportunity to say, hey, this time around you got to listen to me, right? I own the business, or I'm the woman in charge. Whether that's a supplier, a customer, a vendor, whatever it is, right? I think it's empowering, and I'm really lucky to have found this path for myself, so that you know, not just for women, but even women of color, that they can see that there is a path that may not yet be paved for you, but if you chose to go into entrepreneurship and the food business, that it's feasible.
Yeah. Oh, that you're such a shining example of that. And that's such a very good point. Um, legend has it that you walked into a big potential food service customer with a hot tray of biscuits. Is that true? I
Multiple
mean, is that
customers,
just multiple
multiple customers. I always joke, Airbnb, if you're watching, our business wouldn't be here if they didn't exist, because the number of meetings that we had to go into and serve hot food in, where, most friends get to just bring a couple cold bottles or a bag of chips, and you get to
Yeah.
walk into a meeting with it in your backpack. I mean, we had to be prepared to know that no one was going to bake frozen dough before a meeting. So we had to do it ourselves. So, we would rent an Airbnb and then we would go in and bake them off early in the morning and then insist on early morning meetings. That was a key for us. No vendors are typically wanting to be there at 8 a.m. We were, because I wanted to serve you some hot breakfast. So, we multiple times walked into rooms where I was like, hey, if the only lasting impression I'm going to leave is warm buttery biscuits, then so be it. And you know what? It worked every single time.
Brilliant. Brilliant. They say in sales, if you can engage the senses, if you can bring
That's
people
right.
into that whole experience by engaging more of their senses. So, absolutely brilliant. And I know that during the pandemic, a lot of companies that were competing in your categories had major supply chain issues. You
Yes.
capitalized on that, right? Like you were able to, how did you keep your business at the high level of fill rates and all of those things that you were able to do? I mean, I know you, so like I know you got determined to do that and your team lines up behind you 100% and all of that, but what are those like secret hacks that that you employed during that time that made you so successful?
Well, I think one thing is that I'm definitely a child born of immigrants. I'm half Asian, so definitely was taught that, you need to be hardworking, you need to never take no for an answer, you need to be perfect. And so one of the things I think we pride ourselves in as a company is we always shoot for 100, because what's the worst thing? You land at 98, right? You shoot for 90, you land in at 78, right? So I think for
Right.
us, it was being all in. I think one other thing just about me personally is I hate seeing people with problems. I want to help as much as I can. I am determined to help. So when our big food service client came to us, and I did come in with that big old tray of everything we've ever made. It wasn't just biscuits; it was everything. I don't even think they were ready for it, but that that brazenness to say we can do it made them believe that we can do it. And even they didn't understand how complicated and complex what the ask was. But I asked the questions. I was like, well, who's in charge of this, and who do I talk to for this? And then you don't even have to worry about it. Just give me the name, and I'll track it down. And it's the tenacity to break things, and it's the tenacity to say, I'm going to do this for my customer, right? I mean, I have to do this. And so it's crazy what happens, I think, when people realize that there's an emergency and somebody's really gonna not let up, right? That
Yeah.
that a ton of people then band together. And I'd say very lucky because a couple of those people were women in these corporate
Mhm.
settings that saw what I was
Mhm.
trying to do and just did not want to let a fellow sister fail. And so they came aboard, and one of the largest food distributing companies had a woman who wasn't even supposed to be helping me. She had nothing to do with what I was trying to accomplish, but she heard about it and was like, all right, we're gonna get this done in the background. So, I'll keep you up to date. And I found a distribution company, a private 3PL that was gonna help us get it done. And again, it was a team of women that were like, all right, girl, what you need? We're gonna need this, this, and this. And I was like, okay, give me a second. Let me go figure out how to do that. So, women, we just get shit done, right? We just do. And I think
Right.
we're the most reliable humans on the planet. And so I'm very, very blessed to be surrounded by and constantly in company of powerful women who just want to get the job done right.
I love that. I feel like your team, nobody told them they couldn't. So with your encouragement, they just decided they could.
Yeah,
Right.
totally.
So we're just going to wrap up here, but I have to ask you, has anything like been a massive surprise, good or bad? Like, has anything just like caught you like totally in a surprise place where you're like, wow, I didn't, this wasn't on my bingo card. Anything?
I mean, this entire experience. I mean, if you asked my parents or me 20 years ago if I'd be running, a frozen food company, that would not have been on the bingo cards. You know, would we have been at the top of, our category? That would not have been on the bingo cards. I didn't even think we would ever be in breakfast. So I think
Yeah.
everything. And I think when you're a leader, when you're a founder, when you're an entrepreneur, you're just ambitious, it's very easy to keep forward, right? You're always looking forward and you're just pummeling through walls. But it's really important to be retrospective too and just think about what's gone really right and be so thankful,
Yeah.
right? So grateful for how all of your hard work, your perseverance, and your tenacity really gets you somewhere, places
Yeah.
that you never thought you'd be. I mean, I've been to every corner of the United States, also never thought I would, be in places like Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and Oklahoma City. Like I just never thought. But at the same time, we've found friends, we've found partners, we've found
Yeah.
customers and colleagues
Yeah.
in every far reach of this country. Did I ever think I'd be running around in a cold room and a full get up? No. Did I ever think that I would be an expert in biscuits? I mean, it's wild the things that I know now. I don't even know why I know them, but it's I feel really lucky because never every day is never difficult because I love what I'm doing
Yeah.
every day. So
And
I
you're doing it so well.
thank you.
You're
Thank you.
doing it so well. Well, we're going to wrap up here. If you were not inspired by that, then you do not have a heart beating in your chest. And Asha, I see you out at all the trade shows. You're out there on the front line doing it all the time. So I'm going to look forward to that next time. And if in the four corners of this country that you are traveling, you ever find yourself in Springfield, Missouri, dinner is on me. Okay?
I'm sure I'll be there.